Hello friends, today we are going to do chapter number 11, the cop and the anthem. Soapy moved endlessly on his seat in Madison Square. Winters were approaching. He had to find some way to take care of himself during the cold weather. His hopes for the winter were not very high. He was not thinking of sailing away on a ship. 3 months in the prison on Blackwell's Island was that he wanted. 3 months of food every day and bed every night. 3 months safe from the cold north wind and safe from cops. This seemed to Soapy the most desirable thing in the world. There were easy ways of doing this. The most pleasant way was to go and have a good dinner at some fine restaurant. Then he would say that he had no money to pay. And then a cop would be called. It would all be done very quietly. The cop would arrest him. He would be taken to a judge. The judge would do rest. Soapy left his seat and walked out of Madison Square to the place where the great street called Broadway and Fifth Avenue meet. He went across this wide space and started north on Broadway. He stopped at a large and brightly lit restaurant. This was where the best food was served and the best people in the best clothes appeared every evening. Soapy believed that above his legs he looked all right. His face was clean. His coat was good enough. If he could get to a table, he believed that success would be his. But as Soapy put his foot inside the restaurant door, the head waiter saw his broken old shoes and the torn clothes that covered his legs. Strong and ready hands turned Soapy around and moved him quietly and quickly outside again. Soapy turned off the Broadway. At a corner of 6th Avenue was a shop with a wide glass window, bright with electric lights. Soapy picked up a big stone and threw it through the glass. People came running around the corner. A cop was the first among them. Soapy stood still and he smiled when he saw the cop. "Where's the man who did that?" asked the cop. "Don't you think that I might have done it?" said Soapy. He was friendly and happy. What he wanted was coming towards him, but the cop's mind would not consider Soapy. Men who break windows do not stop there to talk to cops. They run away as fast as they can. The cop saw a man further along the street running. He ran after him and Soapy walked slowly away. He had failed twice. Across the street was another restaurant. It was not as fine as the one on Broadway. The people who went there were not as rich. The food was not as good. Into this, Soapy took his old shoes and his torn clothes, and no one stopped him. He sat down at the table and was soon eating a big dinner. When he had finished, he said that he had no money. "Go, call a cop," said Soapy. "No coke for you," said the waiter. He called another waiter. The 2 waiters threw Soapy upon his left ear on the hard street outside. He stood up slowly, one part at a time, and beat the dust from his clothes. Prison seemed only a happy dream. A cop who was standing near laughed and walked away. Soapy travelled almost half a mile before he tried again. When he stopped, he was near several theatres. He saw a cop standing in front of a big theatre. He thought of something else to try. He began to shout as if he had too much of drink. He danced, he cried out, but the cop turned his back to Soapy and said to a man standing near him, "It's one of those college boys. He won't hurt anyone. Let him shout." Soapy was quiet. Was no cop going to touch him? At last, Soapy came to one of the quiet streets on the east side of the city. He was going home, although home was only a seat in a park. But on a very quiet corner, Soapy stopped. Here was an old church. Through one colored glass window came a soft light. Sweet music came to Soapy's ears and seemed to hold him there. And the anthem that came from the church held Soapy there, for he had known it well long ago. In those days, his life contained such things as mother and flowers, and high hopes and friends, and clean thoughts and clean clothes. There was a sudden and wonderful change in his soul. He would fight to change his life. He would make a man of himself again. There was time. He was young enough. He would find his old purpose in life and follow it. That sweet music had changed him. Tomorrow he would find work. A man had once offered him a job. He would find that man tomorrow. He would be somebody in the world. He would. Soapy felt a hand on his arm. He looked quickly around into the broad face of a cop. "What are you doing hanging around here?" asked the cop. "Nothing," said Soapy. "You think I believe that?" said the cop. Full of his new strength, Soapy began to argue. And it is not wise to argue with a New York cop. "Come along," said the cop. 3 months on the island, said the judge to Soapy the next morning. Adapted from The Cop and the Anthem, written by O. Henry. Thank you, friends. Bye bye.